Hello, hello, hello. So, good evening. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me and let me know where you are in the world? That would be great. Got my customary giant mug of tea. All right. So, if you guys can let me know in the chat, where are you? And more importantly, can you hear me? Can you see me? Hey, Charlie. Welcome from Utah. Shay Shay. Greetings from Miami. Oh, hey. Loving it. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great to know that you can hear me. That's awesome. So, for those of you that are here right now, thank you so much for being here. Shanae, what's up, lady? Good to have you. Shanae is a wonderful client of mine, and I actually kind of consider her a guru of sorts because she's just awesome. So lovely to have you. What's up, Daisy? Lovely to have you. Divinely Sarah, beautiful name. Hello, hello, hello. Lake Isabella. All right. Deanna, beautiful. No rush at life. Just okay. Hello, hello, hello to everybody. It is lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me if you are here right now. And for those of you that are watching this after the fact, also thank you so much. And I wish you all of the best. So obviously, we are here to talk about the upcoming Aries eclipse. I wanted to get this out sort of, it's not super early, but it's at least a week in advance. So you've got a little time to prepare. So hopefully that is enough. Elizabeth, lovely to have you, lovely. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. As always, I would like to bless my decks of cards because I'm going to pull a little card for all of you as well. I would like to bless my deck of cards and this reading with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So, okay. We have an Aries new moon solar eclipse on its way in. So this is a big deal for so many reasons, but let's start at the beginning, I guess, right? And it's interesting, like I say, let's start at the beginning. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So in a way, and it's going to be the North Node will be moving into Aries. So in a way, this is kind of like a grand rebirth for all of us. Now, that being said, it is a hybrid eclipse, which means the North Node is technically still in the sign of Taurus, but the new moon is happening very close to that North Node in the sign of Aries at 29 degrees of the sign of Aries. So this is in UK. I always use the London chart. And remember, if you're watching this after the fact, I always use whole sign tropical zodiac for my readings, just so that you know, and you can kind of, you know what I'm referencing and how it kind of goes from there. Now, this is happening on April the 20th, give or take, wherever you are in the world at 4:12 a.m. Now, at the time of this eclipse, there's going to be a stellium in the sign of Aries, right? We're going to have the sun and the moon, obviously, because it's a new moon solar eclipse. We're also going to have Jupiter. Chiron's already been in there for a while, and all of that energy is currently concentrated or it's going to be on the day of the eclipse, is going to be concentrated in the sign of Aries. So a point to remember about any astrology reading, right? Especially like when you see a chart. That chart represents a moment, just like your own chart represents a beautiful picture of the wonderful portrait of contrasts, abilities, strengths, challenges, lessons, etc., that you are here to experience. Your chart isn't just static, it moves, it breathes, And, you didn't stay the same as you were born. You've unfolded and you've changed and you've adapted over the time that you've been alive. And so every moment, every chart that we pull in astrology will show you the potential of what that moment is seeding out into the world effectively. So whenever we look at these eclipses, especially, they tend to unpack over sort of like 3 to 6 months, depending on where it's hitting you in your chart, how prominent it's going to be, and how prominent a place it's going to be hitting in your chart as well. So if you're experiencing eclipses in the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th houses, those are known as the angular houses, and they tend to really pack a punch, right? So it matters where it is, it matters what it's doing for your own chart, but these general sort of overviews can definitely give us an idea of the type of energies, etc., that we're going to be dealing with at any given moment. Now, a new moon solar eclipse is a powerful fresh start, a new beginning. That is like a new moon in itself is a fresh start. It's a new beginning, right? But what I always say is I liken the moon cycle to a pregnancy. So a new moon is like conception. A full moon is like, literally when a woman's ready to pop and then she has the baby. Now, a new moon is a dark moon, right? So we don't have any light there. So while it is a fresh start and a new beginning, it's also the end of the previous cycle. And that's really important to remember with lunar stuff, okay? And it's the same thing with a full moon. Like I liken this to, the birth of a child. It's the end of a pregnancy, but it's the beginning of the life of the child. So it's an ending and a beginning all at the same time. And the same can be said of a new moon, right? So wherever Aries falls in your chart, that's where you're getting a brand new start, a fresh beginning, a fresh tide of energy is being released into your life. And that's going to bring in, obviously, welcome change, movement, potentially liberation and freedom. It's going to be a new beginning that potentially shakes up the foundations of that area of your life in some way, shape, or form. So it's a change of pace for sure. So we're moving into the eclipses that are going to start in the signs of Aries and Libra. Those are cardinal signs, right? These are forward momentum, pushing forward energies. We're moving out of the fixed eclipses, which I got to tell you have been intense. I don't know about anybody else, but I have a lot of fixed energy in my chart. So I've really, those eclipses, they've hit me hard. I can tell you this cycle was no joke. All right. Now, that being said, what you need to think about here, because everything is cycles, right? Everything's cycles and patterns. Human beings, just like the moon, just like the sun, it all runs on cycles and rhythms and, energies. And when you think about these themes, think back to around 2014, 2015. What was happening for you at that time? What was unfolding as a theme? What were the big changes that were taking place for you at that moment? Because you're likely to be experiencing something similar, although the nodes will be in opposite spaces. However, if you're old enough, think back to 19 years ago, roughly, give or take, to around 2005, 2006 ish, right? What were the themes that were playing out for you at the time? What were you interested in? What did you feel was the biggest push in your life that was really pushing you to evolve and to stand up for yourself and what you personally wanted from your life or or potentially your belief system? It's a profound new beginning that's being ushered in here with this brand new eclipse cycle. And we are done with, Scorpio and Taurus are like the money axis, the worth value, etc. It's about stuff, right? The material, not just that, but you kind of get the point. Whereas now we're moving into the realms of relationships and self-sovereignty. So it's going to be a different kind of energy that starts to play out. This is kind of like the me versus we axis, right? So Aries is about the self, the identity, the ego. Libra is where we have the corresponding new moon solar eclipse later this year in October. And that's about partnerships, relationships, all of those kinds of things. Now, Aries being the sign of the self, me, myself, and the wonderful I, and of course, I'm talking about all of you wonderful humans. This eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries, which can be considered like the most Aries energy because it's like right at the end of the sign. So it's effectively the most perfected energy of that sign. It's also known as the anorectic degree, and those tend to be, so 0 degrees and 29 degrees tend to be really heightened energies. And this one is happening at 29 degrees of Aries, which can sometimes sort of present itself as a bit more of the shadow side of the sign. It doesn't have to. And one of the things that we could all do to not have that happen is to raise our own energy, right? To really be in your own sovereign energy, but to be self-centered. And I don't mean like me, you know, that's the stereotype of Aries for sure. What I mean is really understanding what it is to be self-centered, to have your mind, your heart, and your soul all aligned with each other, right? To really be in your own essence, in your own energy, so that you know that nothing that happens is truly personal. It's just substance and experience that's meant to wash over you. It's an experience that you need to have in order to make you better. And if you can hold that idea and hold to your own idea of what it is to be yourself, the stuff that happens out there in the world isn't going to move you so much, right? It's not going to affect you and you're not going to be slave to its whims. And the reason that's important is because when you can hold that center, you can be better for everyone that you come into contact with. You can hold a higher energy and a higher vibration. And when you do that, it goes out into the people that you connect with on a daily basis, your family, your friends, your community, your neighborhood. And it starts a ripple effect. Just like they say, you know, a smile can travel the globe. Well, you holding your center and not allowing yourself to be slave to right, is leading by example. Aries is all about being at the front, being the pioneer. So this eclipse, it may give us the ability to be unbleep withable so that we can, you know, not be slave to the stuff that's going on outside and therefore help raise the vibration of the planet. Okay, so as this eclipse is at 29 degrees, like I said, it's got an intensity to it and it's got a power to it, and it might express in that way, but it doesn't have to. And if we can hold our own vibration, that will be so important. As it's an eclipse and the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries, so although it's an eclipse, it's still got power, right? The sun still has some power because it's in the sign of its exaltation. And it can bring healing, it can bring insights, it can bring wisdom, it can bring knowledge that comes in and completely shocks you or changes the course of your direction or potentially our destinies. Now, why do I say that? When we talk about our destinies, we're talking about the nodes, right? If we're talking about eclipses, we're talking about the North Node and the South Node. These are points of karmic, destined, fated energy. And so when we're having activations of them, it does suggest that, you know, something is coming in to either course correct us, reroute our personal sat nav that we're taking through life. And that's how I see it, right? In my personal humble opinion, I'm going to get off topic for a moment. I believe that we come in with a set mission of sorts, right? When we're born, we're up there, we're floating about, we're talking to our soul group, our soul family, you know, to the all of everything. I don't use the term God or goddess anymore. I just say the all, because how can you give a name to something so if you know, you're up there floating about as a soul, deciding what you need to grow your soul to really evolve into the best version that you can be, and you're discussing it with all of your people, and so you understand at that soul level, I need certain experiences that are going to arm me with the knowledge, the wisdom, and the development and understanding at a soul level to grow me, to change me, to shape me into the best version of whatever my soul can be, right? And so certain points that we experience in life, whether that's children, touch wood, a serious accident, whether it's meeting the love of your life or not meeting the love of your life, every experience that you have that shapes you in some way is it's helping you create the soul that you understood you needed to be moving forward. And so some of the events that happen in our lives, yes, they're absolutely fated. They are. And if you can zoom out from this idea of, well, that means we're not in control of our lives, and that means that we're not, I don't have a say. That's rubbish. It's rubbish. If you can zoom out enough and say, actually, I probably did choose all of this because I wanted to learn this, this, and this at a soul level. Then you start to understand this on a much bigger sort of picture. And when you zoom out that far, you can say, okay, it's fate and free will. And they work like this. They work in goosebumps, right? They work in tandem. And so what really speaks to me on a deep level here is how you get to those events. That's all you. Where you go after those big fated events and those karmic happenings in your life is up to you. That's where the free will kicks in. But there's certainly points at which experiences that we're going to have that we came here to have. So getting back onto the topic of the eclipse and why they might, that's a little rundown of you get a little peek into Raf's mind. There's a lot rattling around up there always. So Aries represents the part of our chart where we need, where we want, where we desire to go in a direction that is all our own, that answers to nobody, that says, I decide here. This is what I make the decisions for. This is what my heart, my soul, my mind tell me that I want, that I need, that I'm heading towards. It's a place in your chart where you're supposed to be unbeholden to anybody, where you're meant to be unabashed of what anybody else thinks or feels. And it's also where we're meant to follow our own path, to do something new, exciting, innovative, something that makes your heart pound and, probably even gives you a little bit of the fear, right? Because it reminds you that you're alive. And Aries energy is such a powerful energy for that. It's also flavored and textured by the house that this is going to happen in for you. So in your chart, look at all of those different factors. Okay. Now, in terms of the eclipse itself, it's, the eclipse is happening at 29 degrees of Aries, and Jupiter's not far behind at 23 degrees of Aries at the time of the eclipse. Now, although that's a wide orb of 6 degrees, I will take it. Anything conjunct Jupiter, yeah, okay, it's going to potentially be a little bit over the top. There is a potential here to go too far with something, for sure. But Jupiter represents healing, wisdom, prophecy, vision, integrity. It really asks us to perform at the highest that we can. And it really is, this eclipse is going to show us what our beliefs really are, where our integrity truly is, and what we actually want for our own futures. That's the power that this eclipse can really bring to you. Now, quick sidetrack. Someone says, I have no planets in Aries. My soul said, nah, I'll follow suit down there. But that's cool, because whatever you've got in Leo, whatever you've got in Sagittarius is still being activated by this. And, sadly, whatever you've got in Libra, whatever you've got in Capricorn, and whatever you've got in Cancer will also be activated by this. It doesn't just work on its own, right? So there's always a little more to it than that. This eclipse is also going to be, at the same time of the eclipse, Chiron, the planet of the wounded healer in the sign of Aries, is going to be square to the ruler of the eclipse, which is Mars, right? Because Mars is in Cancer, and it's going to be square to Chiron at this time. Now, I did a video in early 2018 called it was on Chiron moving into Aries, right? It was musings on that whole kind of thing. Now, I wouldn't say so. Some people might, but I don't. So yes, this Chiron being in the sign of Aries for me, there's this energy of this that really speaks to me in the terms of what has it cost you to be yourself? Maybe friendships, maybe familial connections, maybe community, maybe, you know, whatever it is. For those of us in the spiritual community, I always call it coming out the broom closet, right? When you suddenly announce, I'm into astrology, or, you know, stuff like that. And it's like sharp intake of breath, clutch pearls, whatever it is, right? The Chiron being in the sign of Aries, the sign of the self, the question becomes, what has it cost you to be yourself? And how do you feel about that? Is it going to stop you? Because it's in a square, an energy of sort of challenge. And remember, squares are a good thing. They create enough friction or annoyance for you to say, I'm not having this experience again. So I'm going to get proactive. I'm going to do something about it. Mars is in the sign of Cancer, where it doesn't necessarily do its greatest work, but after having been for so long in Gemini and going retrograde in the sign of Gemini, I actually think Mars is kind of like, look, you know what? This ain't really my party, but I'm still going to make the damn best of it. And in that square to Chiron, it's really asking you to get active about utilizing your feelings for some greater purpose, to really refine or to heal yourself in some way, shape, or form. At the same time, Pluto is going to be squaring this eclipse because it's at 0 degrees of Aquarius, right? So it's still in orb. It's not direct, luckily, because it's not 29 of Capricorn, but even still, it's going to be there in the background. I hope you guys are paying attention to what Pluto is doing in your chart and in general, or sorry, I got to put my chair up, or some of the themes that might be playing out for us, because this is a heads up of what you're getting more of when Pluto comes into the sign of Aquarius full time next year in January. Now, finally, Mercury is going to be conjunct Uranus at this point. So Mercury will be at 15 degrees. Uranus will be at 17 degrees, so that's a conjunction. It's under 3 degrees, which is, you know, usually the orb. And it's going to be in a sextile to Mars, right? So again, there's this energy here of like a push of some kind, really. Like, maybe not necessarily like a push, but there's something that comes in that basically says to us, are you going to move on this? Right? Are you gonna make this real? Are you gonna do something with it? Are you gonna move on this? And because it's Mercury with Uranus, it's likely to be that there will be some kind of message, some kind of communication that comes in around this eclipse, or, you know, thereafter, that kind of makes you go, okay, yeah, I'm paying attention now. This is what I'm going to do with it. All right. Like, so it could be something that kind of shocks you out of complacency, or, you know, into some kind of movement. Because it's a sextile, it will likely be an opportunity of some sort. Like, the way that I see sextile energy, it's like you go to a field and you see something glisten out the corner of your eye. You've got to go over to it and have a look through the grass and, hey, look at this. I found a chunk of gold, or a diamond, or a wallet, or whatever it might be. If it's a wallet, give it in, you know, be good like that. Right? But you see what I mean? It's like you have to do something with the energy in order for it to be useful. Now, it's said Uranus is meant to be like the higher octave in a sense of Mercury. So this is it's gonna be a surprise message of some sort for all of us. All right. I really, really feel that. So You guys are coming up with some great comments. I can't wait to have a little read of these later and maybe maybe do a little bit of feedback on that, see what's going on. Yeah. um, all right. So let's get into what it might mean for each one of the signs. So for Aries, now remember, whenever this is happening, it's going to unfold over time. It's not just a case of, oh, yeah, the eclipse happened on this day and that's it. And we never have to think about it again. It'll happen and events will then start to unfold. So for you, Aries, this eclipse is not only happening in your sign, but it ushers in the Aries Libra eclipse cycle. Powerful shifts in your energy and in your own axis are going to be felt deeply and potentially on a very visceral level. You might feel that, okay, I've got to do something. I have to change something here. The first house, this is about your identity, your body, your ultimate self, right? All of you is coming into a shift point. So you're ready to up level, you're ready to adapt, you're ready to change, and, really for the better. Because this eclipse, yes, there's other stuff going on that's, we'll talk about that. But this is happening in your sign. And I always say, like, if something happens in your sign, maybe not totally, but you get a little modicum of control to say, okay, this is where I'm going to take this. This is what I'm going to do with it. You know all about being a pioneer, about moving ahead and moving forward on new ideas. You're built to go where most people dare not, right? You're one of, if not the bravest sign of the zodiac. There's a couple that I think are definitely on par with Aries. An eclipse in the first house could trigger like dramatic shift of your appearance, of your outlook. It might be your mindset. It could even be some kind of bigger or higher goal that you have for your life, because it's hand in hand with Jupiter. This is really expanding and amplifying that energy, and it's giving you a sense of levity and joy and hope for the future. Jupiter is hope, right? And with Jupiter ruling your 9th house and your 12th house, this might be that you get a powerful glimpse into the future in a very spiritual way. You might have like a body sort of experience where it's like, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to go. It's a fresh start, a do-over. How many do you get in a lifetime, right? To really start over. This is one of them. Okay, so think about what you want on that heart, mind, body level. As this new moon solar eclipse is square to Pluto, there is a potentially fated and final ending that comes in with this as well, because remember, Pluto is in the square to the nodes and it's nowhere even near done. This is just like a taster of a taster. It's like a taster of a starter, right? Like we're just getting a little, like it's almost like you're getting the smell of what it's going to be like. This for you is about your future and your longer term plans and goals of money, finances. You're being asked to get really serious about your resources at the moment. Maybe because a specific source of money is going away, but maybe because something else is replacing that. So whatever it is, this next 3 to 6 months, it will, you'll start to see, okay, this source of money, resources, whatever it might be, this is not going to be around for much longer. For the Chiron square Mars, your ruling planet in the sign of Cancer, still a welcome relief from being in Gemini, where it's, doing this and retrograde, and a drunken teenager Mars is Mars retrograde in Gemini. That's how I saw it. In a square to Chiron, the feeling here is that the wound comes from or through the family, and it's giving you that slow sort of, it's like that slow irritating pain, or what, like when you get a dull ache in the shoulder and it just won't go away, or it's really annoying, or like a paper cut, it's like you can just constantly feel it and it's a real irritant. Finding a way through that, opening up a dialogue, being prepared to really maybe have a hard conversation around where you feel slighted or wronged by a family member, maybe that's the way through. Now, with the Mercury conjunct Uranus and sextile to Mars, this is in the 2nd house of your money and your finances and your resources, and it's sextile to your ruler in the sign of Cancer. This could be a communication that comes in around money that is like really welcome news. Potentially be that there's kind of some shocking or destabilizing message around your finances that then kind of changes your outlook. So maybe you start to see things, money, self-worth in a completely different sense. Mercury, the ruler of your third house and your sixth house, it's likely that this is going to be coming from the job or the work sphere. Maybe you're granted work from home privileges, you know, or maybe those are changed and you're expected to be more in the office. Uranus as ruler of your 11th, it's probably going to be about your longer term finances, your future goals. And it might be that someone at work or through the work sphere kind of goes to champion for you, right? Especially because your ruler is in the fourth house and it's bringing the energy of potentially the disruption through the home and the family. So it's like work and home could be a part of this. Your card, dear Aries, is going to be the Queen of Pentacles. So not only is this about resources, but it's about getting the most out of what you have, learning to utilize and nurture all of the best that is available to you at this moment. And one of the things that I love about the Queen of Pentacles, I always say about her, the Queen of Pentacles has the ability, you give her 10 and she'll show you how to make 100. She rules things like proliferation. She understands that really, really well. So if you use this new moon solar eclipse the right way, it could, you know, could lead you to something quite lucrative. For you, my dear Taurus, this is hitting you in the 12th house. Now, remember, eclipses unpack over time. It's not just going to be the day of the event and done. What's this? Ooh, that's nice. All right. So this Taurus eclipse for you is hitting you in the 12th house, right? This is it's a karmic reboot of epic proportions for you guys. Where do you believe and perceive that you've paid the price for something and you're no longer willing to continue paying the price? That's something that I really, because the 12th house, it's not the easiest of houses, right? And this is an eclipse, it's a fresh start. And because a new moon solar eclipse is a brand new, what this really speaks to me of is the 12th house being your karmic, your past lives, the spiritual world, the intangible. It's the things that breathe up your neck. It's your, your own self-sabotaging tendencies, or as I like to call it, the dark spiky ball at the base of your subconscious. That's the 12th house. And it's also the house of the door to the other world, to all of the stuff beyond the material. A new moon solar eclipse in this space, the space of self-sabotage as well, and the hidden realms. The fact that you've got Jupiter in this space, Jupiter in the 12th house is the epitome of guardian angel energy. So you've had that working for you in your favor for quite a while now. And this eclipse, I feel, is just going to solidify whatever he's changed or adapted for you. So this eclipse being magnified by the ruler of the 11th and the 8th houses, the opportunities that come in could be of a financial nature. They could come through friends or networks. You might start to work with somebody behind the scenes, giving yourself time and space to create something that you feel really proud of, that's going to get the kind of results that you desire. Jupiter brings those extra opportunities, potentially through social media connections and things of that nature, but it's very likely to come about in a really weird way. Or maybe a benefactor comes to you and says, look, I really want to help you with this, but it's got to be behind the scenes or, under the table or whatever. An eclipse in the 12th house is a heads up from the universe to start working on or shifting your spiritual outlook and beliefs, especially because it's conjunct Jupiter, right? Jupiter rules those things. And so this 12th house, it really is about spiritual maintenance. It's a space where we can care for and connect with the immaterial world. As it's in your 12th and it's in a square to Pluto, you are being asked what you are finally and truly ready to let go of or to lay to rest? Where are you ready to release in favor of a better life, but also in terms of, excuse me, moving forward on your own path? Now, the Chiron square Mars for you guys is happening between the 12th house and the 3rd house. Again, remember, it's going to unpack over time, but Chiron is here in the 12th as well. I'm sure the Taurians amongst us are sick and tired of secrets at this point. Like, you know what? I am done with all of that. Almost like you're done with finding out things secondhand, or even, wanting to share certain things. And then when you do, it's like you get judged for it, stuff like that. It might even be that your attention and your drive are in Mars in the 3rd house, right? Which means that you're being drawn to conversations that have some kind of conflict in them so that you can find resolution. Might also be resolution, especially because Mars rules the 12th house of endings, completions, culminations, and your 7th house of relationships, right? Over there in Scorpio. It might prompt you to take your power back in some regard, or open yourself up to new ways of connecting with people on that one-to-one kind of basis. And then finally, Mercury conjunct Uranus, sextile to Mars. So Mercury conjunct Uranus is happening in your sign. You've already been upgrading your thoughts around yourself, giving yourself more time, your own behaviors, whether they're good, whether they're bad. You probably will have been weighing up a lot of things and seeing yourself and how others see you. Do you know what I mean? Like really rethinking, like, will people see me like this? Do I agree with that? Maybe you've been going through some deep introspective thoughts and feelings about these things. That's only going to deepen because we've got the Mercury retrograde coming up as well. So there's a lot of energy here for your business on a day-to-day level as well. Now, it's also an energy that's going to see you need to make a difference in your own life by your own steam. This is fast thinking on your feet kind of energy. And, maybe you need that for a time. Taurus doesn't necessarily like it too fast or too quick, but unfortunately, you might need to sort of speed things up to be able to say, okay, you know what, I've got to get it moving and I've got to keep it going. As this unfolds, your business, your daily life, your career are likely to shift dramatically. But rather than it being all about sort of forward things, it's likely that an older version of you that you really enjoyed being, where you felt stronger, better, harder, faster, it's kind of like that version of you is getting another, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're getting another one. So yeah, love it. All right. For the Taurians among you, you have the World card. If ever there were a card that would speak directly to a 12th house completion, culmination, ending, even though it's in, right? Even though it's a new moon solar eclipse, a fresh beginning, this card basically says you have reached the next level, right? And I've been talking about this with some really people that are really close to me. I've been talking about this recently, and we kind of said it's like you reach the bottom of the new level. You don't go straight in at the top, right? And that's where you are, Taurus. So you're now pushing into, you're on the next level. But it's that moment where you're kind of like, okay, I'm at the bottom rung of the next level. So this feels like a little, ooh. All right. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great. For the Geminis, Gemini. So this for you guys is happening in your 11th house. Again, remember, this is going to unpack over time. It's not just the day's event. It's, it's going to really unfold. The 11th house for Geminis, right? This suggests, and 11th house is good stuff for Gemini because 11th house is communities. It's reaching lots of people, talking, all of that kind of stuff. This is probably a powerful shift happening in your social connections, your social circle, possibly in your social media output, usage, and presence. In the 11th, we find benefactors, helpful people, groups, societies that we're a part of. So I think for you guys, this could introduce you to someone that might be of great importance to you. It's an eclipse and it's in conjunction with Jupiter. So he's the ruler of your career house and your seventh house. This could manifest a new partnership, a new business, like a new partnership in business or career. It could just as easily, if you're single, bring you in a partner or a relationship that you meet through work or through your career. Jupiter always brings opportunities. So the fact that this eclipse is being seeded with Jupiterian energy means that it's going to bring opportunities to grow and change and adapt and, you know, go for good stuff in our lives as well. There are chances to date, chances to get your flirt on coming in for sure. I like this for brand new connections of a wider range. So reaching new people, different types of people, different conversations that start to open up. Jupiter rules the future and vision. So this could be a conversation with someone that switches your brain on and reveals to you like, okay, this could actually be, you know, like maybe you have a really good idea or a download due to a conversation. Now, it is square to Pluto, so it's activating a deeper energy in the background, and it's changing something on a very deep level when it comes to what you put out into the world or how you do it. Something is being revitalized or reborn in a sense, and it's probably you personally in a way, because communication is all Gemini, baby. This could be a resolution to a legal matter for some of you as well, potentially. It could also be a completion on a visa application or even some kind of challenge to a plan that you have for your future. Remember, squares provide us with the opportunity to get mad enough to say, yes, I'm going to do something different. In Chiron, square to Mars, this is happening across your 11th and your second houses. A far-reaching goal that you have for the future when it comes to your work experiences might reveal to you where money has not been it's kind of like where maybe you get an insight and you kind of see, wow, I thought it was not having the money to get started or not having the money to buy that fancy piece of equipment. Or it's like maybe you've told yourself somewhere in your life like, oh, well, I can't do this. That future goal is closed off to me because I don't have the money. And here you have that realization of, actually, I don't need that. I got all of this. Gemini's like, look at all of this. I got all of this. What else do I need? So you might be kind of forced to pay attention to it. It is a square, so the way through is the way through to the healing, because Chiron can represent healing as well. It's to feel it. Mars is in Cancer. Feel it, cry about it, recognize it, take that part of you and say, you know what? Okay, I haven't made this move because I thought I needed this when actually I got all of this. So I'm more than armed. And you know what? Maybe I don't have the resources for the most fancy equipment right now. I can give you a perfect example of this. When I started Reydiant Reality, I was recording on my phone. And when I tell you, chow, the most beat up iPad you've ever seen in your life, that thing was on its last legs. But you know what? I did not let it stop me. Same thing I'm going to give to you, dear Geminis. You have everything that you need to make this happen. Don't stop yourself because you think, oh, I haven't got the money. Mercury, conjunct Uranus, sextile to Mars between your 12th and 2nd. Now, that Mercury energy obviously is a big deal because you are Mercury ruled. This is potentially a disruptive message that comes in from your past. It may come as a person. It might be someone or something that is seeking resolution with you now. And it might be a longer process than it appears. The first reason, because this is an eclipse, so it's going to take time to unfold. The second is that your ruling planet, not long after this eclipse, is going to, like literally the day after, goes retrograde. So, it's kind of interesting that this is happening this way. It may also speak to you as well. Maybe you have a really powerful sort of flash or an insight into, okay, this is a self-sabotaging thing, and I'm going to get rid of that right now. This could be that you're seeing things exactly as they are within yourself in a powerful way that helps you move forward. Likely to have a huge impact on your immediate finances and your home life. Might be called into the mix as well, because obviously Mercury is the ruler of your first house and your fourth house. So don't be surprised if a connection comes in from a teacher, a mentor, or a coach as well, because of that Uranian element. All right, your card, dear Geminis, is the Ten of Swords. Hey, listen, I'll take it, right? Yes, endings, culminations, completions, sometimes potentially a bust up. But the beauty of the Ten of Swords, and interestingly enough, the Ten of Swords represents the sun in Gemini. So this is actually a card that you rule as a Gemini, right? And this energy, it's, who is this? It looks bad, it looks scary, but the beauty of the Ten of Swords is that's it, it's done, right? So whatever this thing is that you realize within yourself where you've kind of been getting in your own way, you get to kind of just say, okay, that's done now, and I can put that to the side. For Cancer, okay. For Cancer, this is happening for you guys in your 10th house. Again, remember, it's going to unpack over time. The 10th house is your career sector, the most visible part of you. It's career, social status. It's also about your purpose and your legacy out there in the world, what you're leaving behind, right? Your purpose, what you feel drawn to. And if you're out there thinking, oh, Raf, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know if I found it. I'm not sure if my job is it. That's okay. You've got an entire lifetime to figure it out. An entire lifetime to figure it out. Don't let these, don't be out here in these social media streets letting people convince you that they got every single answer to life. I'm going to tell you straight up. I read cards. I read energies, I do energy work, I read astrology, I do numerology, and there are times where even I still have no clue what the fuck is going on. All right? That's a part of the human experience. Give yourself more time, give yourself more grace than that. Stop letting all of this out here try to convince you that if you haven't got it all figured out by the age of 30, you should be on the scrap heap of life. What a pile of donkey poo. Rant over. Right? An eclipse, any eclipse that happens is a big deal for you because you are ruled by the moon. And for eclipses to happen, they are, do you know what I mean? Like they're sun and solar and lunar energies. So eclipses are always going to hit you. You're always going to feel this a bit deeper, right? But your path towards more of what you actually want for yourself. Aries is the 10th house for you. So this is what you want for yourself, Aries energy, in your career, 10th house, right? This is where you are ready to get back into what you want for yourself in the career and the status sector. In some new energy is being welcomed in that asks you to get really serious about what you want for your career, what you believe your self-directed and appointed purpose and legacy might be. Now, in the square to Pluto, in the square to Pluto, this is in your 8th house. There's a sense that this eclipse is showing you what hidden powers you have, what hidden abilities you might have. Remember, the 8th house is an occult house. It's, psychic energy, all of the weird and wonderful, the woo-woo, or as I like to call them, the spiritual sciences, tarot, astrology, numerology. You might find that you have a gift. You might pick it back up. You might decide to study it. Whatever it might be, in some way, shape, or form as well. This could be some old wound or issue that comes up for resolution, and you might feel this really keenly or on a visceral level. And the reason being is because the 8th house is it's not just other people's money and taxes and stuff. It's also our traumas and the stuff that has really hurt us or affected us at a deep level. The fact that this is being sort of activated as well, for sure, it could bring that up, but it's showing you a way through. Now, Chiron square to Mars. Mars is obviously in your sign at the moment. So this will really be amping it up. Some kind of challenge or issue that you've had with the career and your social status could come up now for resolution. First, though, it might get to the point where it really, it gets kind of like that. It could come up for Mars rules your 5th house and your 10th house. So it's possible that this could be around something that you love to do, but it's like you look at it and you say, well, that's probably not going to make any money. It could also be that this comes through a certain type or sense of melancholy that has you identify where you need to take action for yourself on a selfish level. Healing comes through the actions taken that focus on you and your desires. That's your way. Mercury conjunct Uranus, sextile to Mars in the 11th, and between Mars in the 1st, and Mercury conjunct Uranus in the 11th. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to act in your own best interests? A message, a vision of some sort, or even just a community theme that you see could show up online. It could, just comes at just the right moment. And, maybe regardless of who it upsets, you kind of say to yourself, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do this for me now. I'm going to go after this for myself because that's what feels right to me. Be open to what's presented to you, because it might have something to do and it might have something to do with technology. It could also be just something that comes completely out of the blue. Your card is the Sun card, right? So very, very interesting, because like I said, this is a big sort of, this is you. Find the joy. Find the joy in doing something for yourself. Find the joy in shining your resplendent wonder on and into the world. All right? So, someone says chat was delayed and all I heard was donkey poo. Go back, watch it. Hopefully it will help you. All right, so for Leo, my ascendant brothers and sisters, this for you guys is happening in the 9th house. Now, remember, this is going to unpack. It's going to unfold over time. This eclipse for you happening in that 9th house. This is a solar eclipse. So this is a big deal for you because you are ruled by the sun, right? So you're always going to feel eclipses just as much as the sign that it's in, if not more, along with Cancer, right? Because this is your luminary. Now, some kind of new beginning or fated or karmic nature is pulling you back onto the path of the student. Where are you, of the student, of the teacher, of the mentor, of the coach? Where is it that it's time for you to get back to sharing yourself with the world, teaching, right? Offering knowledge, offering wisdom, showing up for other people in that way. In the 9th, we find foreign travel, foreign lands, other cultures, but it's also your beliefs and your spiritual wisdom, connection and understanding. So this could see you changing or dropping a religion or a spiritual path. That could see you welcoming one into your path as well. It's a newfound sense of belief and an experience of the cosmos as a beneficial and a wonderful place to be. This is effectively your belief system is being rebooted in a sense. And, in whatever way that happens, this will put you in direct communication with the universe. Keep your ego in check with this, all right? Because, it might be easy to get into that lofty kind of energy. This is Aries energy. So it's about stepping back onto the path that you are meant to be on, in line with what you envision for your life and what you want for yourself. It's a future-looking house, one that encompasses like all the learning. And that kind of tells me as well, for some of you, it might initiate a really powerful time of soul learning, where you start to really learn from guides, gurus, spiritual mentors, maybe even from higher intelligences that start to really, literally give you downloads into your mind, bypassing any of the outside stuff. Very possible. This is Jupiter's house. So as much, Jupiter's in the 9th house at the time. Get proactive and serious about your spiritual cleanliness. It's not just Venus that likes cleanliness. Jupiter likes clean, right? You come to me, make sure all of this, your mind, your heart, your soul, you're going to come to me with anything, make sure it's clean, right? Jupiter, that's the whole integrity thing. Keep it there. In order for you to expand out there in the world, you are to clean your inner worlds like never before. All right, like this is kind of you shifting into alignment with more of what the divine wants for you. And so it's also about trust in the universe, right? Opening up to the gifts that you have, trusting that not only the universe is going to do this, but you're going to do it at the same time. Now, this could potentially bring you into a realm and a class all of your own. I don't say this lightly, and I don't want you to kind of be like, oh, well, that's cool, then I'll just be in that space. Jupiter is about to switch signs out of the 9th and into the 10th, into Taurus, which is going to be to say that your metamorphosis is going to be very public. Even for those of you that are what I like to call the silent dignity type of Leo, your butterflying, if you like, is going to be very public, right? How could it not be? In the square to Pluto in that 7th house, this is about relationships that change you, whether personal, professional, platonic. It's about relationships, and probably in all of those different areas, right? It's going to be messy and intense and fun and exciting and sensual, provocative, powerful. And when it's done, you will probably be the stronger and more effervescent version of yourself than you've ever been, than maybe you even thought possible. I hope you're ready. Chiron, square to Mars between the 9th house and the 12th. It's really interesting that we're talking so much about spirituality, because the 9th and the 12th houses are both very spiritual places within the chart. So, I really like this for that. Maybe you start to realize, just like Forrest Gump, not only can you run, but you can run pretty much better than most people out there. It's going to be something that annoys you to discover that. It's going to be something that pushes you to say, okay, you know what? I remember that fight. I remember that grit. And actually, I'm really good at this, whatever this may be. 12th house, Mars has probably been hyping up your dreams. It's probably been a little bit cray-cray out there. It could, for some of you, spell a visit to a hospital, potentially for a family member, maybe for a surgery, not guaranteed. In any case, you are done paying for who you are. You're done paying your dues. You're done, giving recompense for whatever it might be. It's been paid. And this is where you start to collect. But your collection relies on bravery, directness, passionate sort of pursuit of your desires, and it could really see you reaching a larger portion of the world. It just depends on you. Finally, Mercury conjunct Uranus sextile Mars between the 10th house of career, that's Taurus energy, and the 12th house for you, which is Cancer energy. A fated message, or likely a shocking one, that comes in that creates or lands an opportunity, or puts an opportunity in your lap. And at the time, you could kind of be like, I don't really know what to do with this. Right? Like, it could be one of those moments. Remember, Mercury rules your 2nd house and your 11th house as well. So the message will be potentially about some kind of support, some kind of money, or even a conversation that changes everything and moves things forward in a very dynamic way. Mercury is going to go retrograde. So whatever happens, if something stalls or it looks like it slows down, don't freak out. And then I'd put here for you guys as well, be prepared to be the young grasshopper. You are young, but you will learn. And that's for all of you Leos, regardless of your age, before anyone starts. All right. So, skip that. Your card, dear Leo, is the Page of Cups. Your heart is what's going to pull you forward, right? Follow your intuition. And if you have a moment where you kind of think, I'm not sure which way to go, check in with that thing that Leo rules, right? Get into the heart space. Damn straight, Stephen. Damn straight. Age is only a number. For the Virgos, sorry, got an itchy schnoz. So for the Virgos, this is happening in your 8th house. Now, remember, this is going to unpack over time. It's not just the event. This in the 8th house could trigger or dislodge some of your fears, right? This in the sign of Aries, so it initiates a braver, more daring sense of self. It sees you getting like really powerful, proactive about what feels right to you on your path to follow at the moment. Maybe it sees you getting serious about your psychological well-being and your personal healing. Jupiter's been in this space for some time now, empowering your spiritual and your occult powers. So a lot of you have really been enjoying that, I hope. And it's now going to, you know, when it comes into Taurus, it will move into that 9th space for you, where you'll start to be able to take the stuff that you've learned and developed in those skills and take it, you know, to a bigger, broader audience in some way. Whatever gifts you have acquired or refined in this time, if you get the way that you keep them without the planet still being there is to consistently use them. All right. In the 8th, we find sex, intimacy of the primal variety. An eclipse here could trigger a need to live more primally, should I say, to get in touch on a deeper level with your own innate sexuality. It might be the start of a personal sexual revolution in some way, shape, or form, especially if you've had wounds or traumas or, you know, from things like sexual harassment or some kind of abuse, or if you've had anything around that kind of stuff. This could really trigger you to say, you know what, I'm going to make my sexuality and my sensuality something that is a lot more profound and something that's a lot more healing for me, as opposed to something to be afraid of. Or, you know, if you were raised Catholic, maybe you got the Catholic guilt and all of that stuff. This could be a powerful rewriting of that, you know, especially if you've got any kind of PTSD or hang-ups around this. If you've had any issues or challenges around legal matters in regards to inheritance, estates, monies of other people, it's likely to be that this will see that change. It could also be coming into the sphere of needing to charge or to be in charge of somebody else's finances for any number of reasons. In the square to Pluto, there's a sense that your daily life is likely to change in some regard, or will see you changing and adapting what you do on a daily level in terms of your personal routines and rituals, how you look after yourself, how you maintain all of this. It's like initiating a stronger sense of self-focused thought. Chiron, square to Mars between the 8th and the 11th, right? So this might have been revealing to you what your wounds around anything occult or supernatural or spiritual are, or your sexuality. It might really say to you like, oh, you know, I'm really into astrology and I love tarot and I love all of this, but we were raised like this, and you know, this shouldn't be something that I'm into, and, you know, all of that stuff. You start to release that. A friend, a group, or a community situation could really help you open up on that and say, you know what, actually, it's okay to be into these things. And it might feel really vulnerable at first. You know, is it whenever we show people parts of us that we feel are wounded or damaged or whatever, but you're not, okay? And you're going to find that. For some, this might show up as someone calling you out, maybe to come out of a closet of some kind. You know, maybe someone says, you know, well, you know, if you love this stuff, why can't you just be open about it? And you're kind of like, actually, yeah, why can't I? Mercury, your ruling planet, conjunct Uranus, sextile to Mars. So this is happening across the 9th and the 11th. A friend or a community, or maybe even a space. And it's kind of what I'm seeing with this is it's kind of like the cure and the cause. It's like a little bit of both. It's the thing that causes the challenge, but that's where the healing is at the same time. Mercury, your ruler, is in Taurus, and this energy in its conjunction to Uranus is trying to your own sign. So it's kind of, you know, it's a good harmonious energy. This could be news about a career matter that absolutely lights you up. It could also be a surprise message from someone that you see like every day that really helps you realize like how much support and assistance is available to you that maybe you didn't notice. Opportunities to get ahead, to show people something that you envision for your future are also showing up. And for you guys, you got the 3 of Pentacles. I mean, for Virgos, every day is a school day, right? You guys are always learning something, always taking on new information and, you know, finding ways to work that into your lives. But the 3 of Pentacles also says, one of the other things that that a lot of people don't talk about with this card is it can sometimes show up as a refusal to take on board advice because you don't like the source. So it's kind of like, you know, if you ever hear people arguing or you see it and it's like, well, how can you say that when your own life is a mess? Forget the person. Whether you like them or not is irrelevant. The universe may very well be speaking through that person to help you move ahead in your own life. So be ready to take it on board, okay? Like every day is a school day and every single person you come into contact with is potentially a teacher. Libra. For Librans, you guys will be feeling this because it's happening in your 7th house, one of the angular houses, right? So it's going to do one of 2 things. It's a new moon solar eclipse, so it's likely to bring a fresh beginning in a relationship, partnership, collaboration, connection, one-on-one situation, or it could bring an ending of one. Why? Because it's a fresh start. So if you suddenly have a relationship, a partnership, a collaboration come to an end, that is effectively a new way of moving forward within a certain type of relationship, right? So do you see what I mean? It's like a new moon is a dark moon. So it kind of has that, you know, not dark in terms of like the doom and gloom dark. Now, what we're looking at here is potentially the end of a relationship, but potentially the start of one as well. Something new is being initiated into your life or your world with this energy, and it will be the area of partnerships, marriages, commitments. And as it's hand in hand with Jupiter, it has the potential to be really great for you. This could be the start of like a journey or a soulmate or a significant other. It could be the process of you realizing like, wow, you know what? I've been dating this person for so long and I actually didn't realize like how much, do you know what I mean? Like how much I needed them, or how much I want to be with them, or how much I know that this is my person. Sorry, I'm just going to apply some lip here because my lips are very, very dry at the minute. It's been so cold here in the Shire. So if you're not looking or interested in the relationship sphere and maybe you don't have a partner, it could be in the business field. It could be with relationships that come and expand your life in some way through what you do for work. It may also be legally binding contracts that come in. Either way, you're connecting with people and it makes a difference to your life and your world. And, you know, if you're in a relationship that's been on the rocks, maybe it spells that. not for everybody. In its square to Pluto, potentially that a new romance or some kind of love venture causes a bit of stir. You know, maybe some people are like, not sure how I feel about this. It's not down to them, it's down to you, right? It might be if you've got children, maybe they don't like your partner, and maybe that ends up being a deal breaker in some way. Or, you know, yeah, there's a few ways it could show up. Chiron square Mars between your 7th house of relationships and career house. Let's talk about how relationship matters potentially interfere with the career or vice versa. And I wonder here if you're connecting with somebody through work and it ends up being like an issue. So maybe it's like, well, you know, if you two are dating, you have to go to HR and talk to them about it. And it's like, oh, really? Do you know what I mean? It could be something really annoying, you know, in that kind of way. Healing can happen by on you being honest with yourself about how much of your personal value is tied up in other people and how, sorry to say it, problematic that kind of behavior might be. You know, to have all of who you are tied up in another person, it kind of suggests that you're, you know, it's almost like you're saying to yourself, well, I'm only valuable because of them. No way. Libra, you are awesome and you have so much to bring to the world. So it's time to address that now. And this eclipse, I mean, it's just the start of this eclipse cycle. So you're going to be working on this for a while moving forward. Mercury conjunct Uranus, sextile Mars between the 8th house and the 10th house. The poison is the cure, very much as the saying goes, right? While the career and the public persona and the sphere of your life might be sort of very public at this time, it could also be that a message or communication, maybe even some kind of new technology, makes all the difference or makes up for it. Now, if you're single, this is great. If you're partnered, this could also be great. I love this for a supportive connection that delivers a potentially a financial opportunity or blessing, but you'll need to work it, right? Because it's a sextile. And just be honest with yourself about what you want for yourself. Definitely. Okay, for you guys, you have the Wheel of Fortune, right? So I love this. What this tells me is there is tremendous luck available to you. And if you can allow yourself to be in the right place at the right time at this moment, or to allow the right connections to show up, things can absolutely move forward for you in a really powerful way. It's also a message for you to find the goodness, all right, in all that it is, right? And this is the thing with Libra energy, because you guys are Venus ruled, you don't like the hubbub, you don't like the brouhaha, you like it all smooth, easy, you know, pretty, nice, and all of that. And unfortunately, it's an eclipse, so it's not, you know, probably not going to be all of that. But there are ways forward through it. Scorpio, my dear Scorpio, Aries for you is your sibling sign. So you might feel this one quite powerfully in a way, or you might be able to either use or access this energy just as good as some of the others that are having this in a really sort of harmonious way. I like this as well for the moment and the eclipse cycle that's so for you guys, this is happening between the 6th and the 12th. This is activating what I call the maintenance axis. 6th house, maintaining the physical self, all of this, you know, and the things that go into maintaining all of this. 12th house is the spiritual maintenance, how you look after everything that's the you on the deep inside. This new beginning is being amplified by Jupiter, the ruler of your 2nd house of money and resources and your 5th house of creativity. Creative endeavors that you know have the potential to make money may draw your focus at this time or from now on. It could also be that you start getting really conscious about your health. Like you start really paying attention to your physical health and vitality. Maybe you start, you know, really kind of saying, right, I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to say my affirmations. I'm going to, you know, go for that run every morning. Like maybe you start to get really serious about looking after yourself. Good time to change your diet. For some of you, this might be, you know, maybe you say, right, going vegan, going paleo, going keto, whatever it might be. These are all highlighted for you and potentials at the moment, especially over the next 18 months. You will need to dig in and get active. And in the square to Pluto, which is your modern ruler, which is newly and just touching its toes of your fourth house, this could be a home situation that comes up that either forces you to change how you work or live. It might also be a change in your circumstances when it comes to how you look after yourself due to the demands of your home life, your home world, and the family. So Chiron square to Mars between the 6th and the 9th house. I really like this for you gaining knowledge and insights through some kind of learning that you're pursuing. So maybe you're taking on like new knowledge. Maybe you're finding that you're working with a really skilled teacher or practitioner, maybe even a coach, who's supporting your health and teaching you about your health at the same time. It could be a personal trainer who's actually ends up being really spiritual. It could be I don't know, a psychologist who is actually very spiritual. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that sort of dual component to it. So that could be really nice. It is a square. So remember this, there's a potential that you could have like a health crisis that forces you into that kind of sees you looking for all of this, but it could end up, providing what you need to really get the most out of something. In work matters, it might also be that your path forward seems to be blocked by someone who either doesn't have your best interests at heart or is straight up jealous. All right. And not uncommon for Scorpios, unfortunately. You guys tend to, like, everyone talks about Scorpios being jealous, but I don't think we talk enough about like the jealousy that Scorpios actually have to endure. Like that's something like let's start there, right? Right? I know a lot of the Scorpios out there are like, preach. Like let's start there. I think that's something that Scorpio gets a bad rap for all of. Oh, they're so jealous and intense, and it's like, well, hang on a sec. A lot of the time, they're actually on the receiving end of that. So, yeah, just gonna put that up there, okay? I can see you guys in the chat like, yeah, he got it. All right. Now for you guys, Mercury conjunct Uranus, sextile to Mars. This is happening between the 7th and the 9th. An opportunity to succeed in or within a partnership or a relationship comes up with this message. I actually really like this for you and a partner collaborating, but almost like you didn't really expect it to happen and then it just kind of does. Mercury is the ruler of your 11th and 8th. This could bring lucrative news that helps you into opportunities around your work, maybe even things that help you dazzle, even with somebody trying to on your fireworks, right? Like this, as it's an Aries eclipse, you'll be able to use this energy better than most because Mars rules your 6th house where he actually is exalted. And even though he's in Cancer at the moment, it's in the 9th house, which is a trine energy to that energy for you, right? So it's still working in your favor. When they say like, no weapon forged shall prosper, Scorpio, you're going to be good. All right. Like this is going to be good for you guys. Okay. Your card is the Chariot card because why wouldn't it be? All right? Success, victory, coming out on top, even with the challenges that show up. The other thing with this as well, buckle up because it's likely to be a fast ride for you guys. Remember with this tower, the Chariot card, it opposes the Tower in the Taroic wheel. And so what that means is take your time. Everything's going to speed up, but you take your time. Okay. Sagittarius, my dear Saggies, for you. So remember, it's going to unpack over time. It's not just the event. This eclipse cycle is for you in the 5th house of pleasure, romance, authentic self-expression. And you know what I love about this for you guys? Saggies have had it rough for a while, man. Like you guys, like every Sagittarius that I've spoken to, whether it's been kind of relentless. And the fact that you're having this grand reboot in your fifth house of pleasure, joy, romance, and all of that stuff. I love this for you guys finally going, good stuff coming, right? Like fun, enjoyment, laughter, happiness, warmth, smiles, all of the things that you guys need and deserve. And this eclipse is hand in hand with your ruling planet, Jupiter. So really, what's not to love? This eclipse does have like an expansive feel to it. So it is going to be a little bit larger than life and a little bit OTT. But hey, listen, that's you in a nutshell. Right, you know I love you, Saggies. What I will say here as well, because this eclipse is in the fifth house and it's in conjunction with Jupiter. And by the way, Jupiter loves children. And for that reason, I want you to find your inner child and take that kid to the sweet shop, right? And say to them, you can have anything you like. Don't let nobody tell you different. This time, however, you've got money. Yeah, you've got agency, you've got power, you've got love, you've got respect, and maybe even children of your own at this point. This I love for healing the inner child in a way that nothing or no one has been able to do. And do you know why it's so profound and so much more amazing? Because you're doing it yourself. It's coming from inside, right? I love that. If that's the case, bring your, like if you've got children, bring them along, because this could be a time for you to bond like never before. Anything that happens in a fellow fire sign is a trine energy to you. So it's always going to be harmonious. It's always going to bring you, better than it brings most. This square to Pluto could be the end of something that you've been working on in your neighborhood. It might also see you releasing some kind of local link as well. So maybe you're leaving a certain area. Remember, whenever Pluto is in the mix with stuff, it's the final word. In the zodiac, yes, if you've been with me long enough, you know I believe Luna is in charge, right? She out here doing the most. Love her. You know, Luna is my celestial love. She is, she's always in charge, but Pluto is the final word. So something in the neighborhood, the local area could be coming to an end here. Potentially, because of that neighborhood link, it's about neighbors that are moving away. It could just be that. Now, Chiron square to Mars, this is happening between the 5th and the 8th. I like this for you thinking about giving yourself pleasure and someone trying to tell you not to. All right, maybe it's like, when you treat yourself to something nice, do you do it with a backhand? Like, oh, well, I'm doing this for myself, but, I probably shouldn't. Or, well, I'm going to eat the cupcake, but then I'm going to punish myself for 4 hours in the gym later. Do you know what I mean? Like and it could be something that maybe something that you grew up with. Maybe one of your parents in the back of your mind saying, oh, why are you always being over the top? Why are you being too flashy? Or judgment from an old partner or somebody that you still kind of hear in the background. Or, if you're a parent, maybe it's the mom or the dad guilt when you buy yourself something or you do something nice for yourself and then you overcompensate with it by buying the kids everything. Like, what about just giving to yourself to give to yourself? I like this for that. Mars is bringing a depth of passion to your desires and to the things that you want with the very of you. I always want to censor myself because I'm aware that I'm on a live stream and I'm like, yeah, YouTube are probably, they're going to clamp down on me. So Stephen the Jupiter, no dad bod here. I love it. Wait, listen, dad bods are in, man. If you got it, rock it. For Mercury in the conjunction to Uranus. Sorry, that's really tickled me. Mercury conjunct Uranus in the sextile to Mars is happening between that sixth and eighth energy. And so the message that comes in, or the input that comes unexpectedly, might come in a really weird way from a source that you don't expect. And it might have like a certain connection or and a desire when it comes to shaking your life up on that daily level. What sort of really spoke to me here when I looked at it for you guys was in your own spiritual connection, something potentially comes in and blows a door wide open. It is a sextile, so you are going to have to work it. Mercury rules your seventh house and your 10th house. So it's likely to be your personal status or legacy in the world that gets that shift and that change. So nice. Your card is the Four of Wands. So here's where this gets really interesting, right? For those of you that are single, this could be an engagement. It could be a flirtation that gets a bit more serious. The Four of Wands is a celebration card of engagements, marriages, all the rest of it. And the fifth house is all about pleasure and romance. It's not like serious commitment. It's more like, you know, when you just meet someone and they give you the butterflies and you get all goofy and gooey around them, and you got the Four of Wands. I love this for just celebrating life once more. So I think this is a really nice activation for the Saggies. For Capricorn, my dear Cappies, you guys know I love you. Remember, it's going to unfold, it's going to unpack over time. The eclipse is hitting you in one of the deepest parts of your chart, right? The fourth house is the fourth, it's the base, it's the foundation. And this is, you know, in a way, this is your deepest emotional makeup. It's a big change or adaptation that is happening, that's being initiated when it comes to your home, your family, and your personal environment. This space is also the space of the emotional self. And so this could also be about your ancestry. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys start to learn or discover things about the people that you descend from. Maybe you see them in a different light or start to gather, you know, new knowledge, new resources through those connections to the family. Very possible at this time. Are you ready for your personal world to change? It's hand in hand with Jupiter, and Jupiter loves children. And for that reason, especially because it's an eclipse in the fourth, if you don't have children, this could be the start of that journey. If you want children, this could be the start of that journey. If you don't want children, or you don't want any more children, it's an eclipse. So, you know, anything kind of goes. But you know, if you don't want any more, now you know to kind of adapt what you need to. Could it also, so it could bring another child in. Now, as the ruler of your 12th and your 3rd, this could bring in conversations that are ready for wrapping up or resolution around a family. This could be a reconnection with a place that you've lived in before, maybe a message that comes from that or from a sibling around that. Very possible. Someone here says no more kids, please. So you know to handle your business then. It could also be a little intense for you guys. Now, in the square to Pluto, which is newly in your 2nd house of finances, money, resources, there's a final matter here when it comes to your finances. Now, if you've had a recurring issue or conversation around money that comes up again and again, this could actually be the start of where you know it kind of now comes to a close. And because this eclipse is going to be kind of like the last one that squares this, because as of next year, Pluto will be coming properly into Aquarius, right? What kind of spoke to me here was this is like the last time conversation around a specific financial matter that you're kind of like no longer willing to have this conversation. All right. So you're like, no, I'm done with it. And Lord knows when Capricorn tell you it's done, whether that's the conversation, the happenstance, whatever it might be, when Cappies tell you it's done, trust them for it's done, right? Let it be. Because you don't want any of that. Trust me, you don't. For the Chiron square Mars, Chiron is in the 4th house, right? So what this tells me is family has probably been quite a very sensitive subject for you guys for quite a while, since 2018. And you might have just felt that pressure consistently, just building and building and building to the point where you're like, okay, this is where it stops. And this eclipse will probably help you with that. The square to Chiron, Chiron square Mars, it will provide you the impetus and the right to be done with something. Now, it doesn't have to be in your personal sphere, though for some of you it probably will be. It could also be that you're releasing or letting go of a partnership due to it becoming sort of untenable. Mars is a severing energy, right? It's a releasing, it cuts things, it removes them, which, is the moon's ruler. And it suggests that you'll be emotionally detaching from something before you make that final cut. So it's like you're wrapping it up in all of the, obviously, you're wrapping it up in all of the right ways. Could be through a hard conversation that you have with a partner that true healing and relief is found, right? It could be, maybe that's the ending that comes from it. It doesn't have to be the relationship breaks up, but it could be that you say, right, you know what? We're going to hash this out once and for all, and then we're going to be done with it. You lay all your cards on the table, and at the end of it, yes, you feel a little bit raw, but you're like, you know what? That brought us closer together, and I feel like I'm ready to heal now, So that could be really, really nice. Mercury conjunct Uranus, sextile Mars. This is happening between the 5th and the 7th. Be open to that romance. Be open to that romance. If you've got children, this could be a message or news that comes through the children that is potentially a little bit shocking. Maybe one of them comes to you and says, hey, you're going to be a grandparent, like, woohoo, or not, as the case may be. It just depends. It could be a message as well around a legal matter that you've been waiting for. Like, when you've been waiting for something to come and it's like, it's just not come, it's not happening. And then all of a sudden it shows up. If you're single, this could bring new love very much by surprise, or potentially somebody comes in and says, look, you know what? I'm hoping this might go somewhere. If you're partnered, it's really a case of the cure and the cause, right? It's going to bring you both. For your card, you have the 9 of Wands. So this card, yes, he looks a little beat up and he's in a bit of a bad old way, right? But actually, this, if you've got war wounds, it means you survived. If you've got a little bit of like, okay, I'm a bit tender right now, it means you're going to heal stronger. And so what this tells me is, while that sort of stuff in the background has been intense since 2018, on this side of it, you'll be able to acknowledge those wounds and say, okay, you know what, it wasn't the greatest experience, but actually now I can start to move forward. For Aquarius, remember, this is going to unpack over the next 3 to 6 months. It's going to take time. But for Aquarius, this for you is happening in your 3rd house. This could be you starting to delve into new skill sets. I love this for learning something new, gaining a new skill, potentially something that you do with your hands, something that requires hand-eye or, hand-foot, or, all of that brain communication stuff that happens. It might be that you decide to start taking a new class, probably one that you'll need to commute for or travel for. Maybe you start to connect more to your local neighborhood. I really love this for new friends, new connections, new enjoyment coming in, right, from or with your local area. Could be where Jupiter brings new opportunities in for you. And as the ruler of your 2nd house and your 11th houses, this does have a financial element from it. Like, maybe you start to do things that potentially forge new connections, and that they end up being lucrative in some way. Love this for digital or internet connection that helps you reach or enhances your, helps you expand your reach, or helps you, oh gosh, come on, brain, helps you reach, or like it helps you enhance your finances in some way. Welcome message for the Aquarians at the moment. Good news around finances, because obviously, you know, Saturn in Pisces is out here doing the most in your second house, but you'll be fine, you'll work it out. If there were ever a time for you to mix and mingle in your local environment, this is the invite, right? This is going to start a whole new era of, because obviously these eclipses are going to bounce between your third and your third house and your ninth house. This is going to be travel on a local scale, travel on an international scale. You're about to become the Felicia of the zodiac, Aquarius, right? You're going to be coming here, there, and everywhere. So that could be good. It's definitely a lot going on in the place that you live right now, though. This could be a dramatic change in the life of a sibling. Very possible to be a pregnancy or some kind of development or advancement that happens in their lives that either impacts your world in some way or makes you very happy. In the square to Pluto in your sign, right? We've got Pluto in there now dipping his toes into Aquarius, and child, like, trust me. Oh boy, listen, I watch Capricorns go through it because, as many of you know, I love Capricorns. I've got, you know, 2 Capricorn sisters. I dated 3 Capricorns. My granddad, rest him, was a Capricorn, so I understand Cappy energy quite well. But having watched you guys go through the last 20 years of the Pluto transit, now that it's in Aquarius and just dipping its toes, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I knew it was going to be intense, but this is a little more intense than I like my intense. And the last 3 years for Aquarius have already been pretty intense. I think you can all agree. But, you know, this is the wave. We ride it nonetheless. There's a dramatic culmination coming in when it comes to your career and your personal outlook. So it might have something to do with what you're ready to share and where you go from here. So big changes coming in for Aquarius, you know, really potentially bigger than most other signs, because we've got that Pluto energy that's about to start kicking off for us. It will come in full time in January. I think it retrogrades back at least once more to maybe 0 degrees. But, you know, it's a game changer, right? Now, in Chiron, square to Mars, this is happening between your third house of, you know, the third house is all of the busy stuff that you do in your neighborhood, like the locality. And the 6th house is, you know, your grind. It's like your commute and stuff like that as well. It can be very challenging. And this challenge might show up in your work. It might see that your work becomes a lot more demanding to you or demands more change. It might also be some of the hard talks that have to happen, right? Especially to find ways to use your words to your advantage. Something that Aquarius does very well, if I may dare to hazard to say so myself. But it's asking you to get a bit more serious about what you say, how you say it, and to be more intentional with that. And it might be you cleaning up your mental and physical health and starting to get more active, right? And maybe this comes through a healing crisis. Maybe something happens and you're kind of like, right, not having this again, and you start to get really serious about it. Maybe you're having more vulnerable conversations around this kind of stuff, and you know, maybe you start to get a bit more candid about what you think, about what you feel, and how that shows up for you. Mercury conjunct your modern ruling planet of Uranus is happening between the 4th house and the 6th house. This is Mercury conjunct Uranus is sextile to Mars, right, in the 6th. So this, for you guys, it's interesting messages that come in and offer surprise twists when it comes to the home and environment sector. As the ruler of your 5th house and your 8th house, this could be anything as, you know, it could be sexting, you know, and connecting to somebody in that way. Could just as easily be that a message that comes into the home that changes your daily routines. How things have been up until now have been fine, but they're about to change, and your days are becoming a lot more your own in a way. Like that, it's really weird, because when I was looking at this, I was like, so how is this going to show up? Because obviously I'm an Aquarius sun, and I was like really trying to figure it out. And that was what I kept hearing. It's like your days, your time, and the way that you live within your home and your space are about to become more your own in some way. And how you use your time and you develop from here will really, you know, the results that you get will be a direct, they always are, but for you, especially from this moment forward, it will be a direct result of all of the actions that you're taking at this time. Could also be new technology, workout kit that you bring to the home, various tech items that improve or enhance your progress, the progress that you're making. An emotional discussion with a family member that really wakes you up to the possibilities. You know, like just maybe somebody says something to you and you're like, whoa, didn't know where that was coming from, but it came. So with this, you've got the Five of Cups, so not the easiest of cards. This card, aside from loss and mourning and all of the scary stuff, this card speaks to overindulgence. And so what you're being encouraged with this eclipse is to kind of say to yourself, and I feel like this echoes a message that maybe that came through for Leo, actually. The version of you that has brought you to this point is a marvelous being, but they're not going to take you any further. And if you are ready, willing, and able to stop relying on what has brought you to this point and start working and using and incorporating new ideas, new energies, etc., this could really see you saying goodbye. And maybe this isn't necessarily mourning a person or even an item. Maybe it's mourning the version that you've been and realizing that version of me isn't going to take me to the levels that I can envision now. Right. So it's kind of a big moment for Aquarius. And obviously in the background, we've got that Pluto energy. So Pluto out here doing the most. For Pisces, last but never least, my dear Pisceans, for you guys, remember, it's going to unpack and unfold over time. This is happening in your second house of money, finances, resources, your personal value, how you see yourself and value yourself, how you really do or don't care about yourself, you know, how you... the worth, the price, and the value that you put on what you are, want you to bring to the world. It's also how you know, it's also your personal monies, your savings, the money that comes directly into you. Does Pluto... Taria Michelle, you better be out here coming through. Does Pluto even do anything but the most? So true, so true. That's really made my day. Okay, so for you guys, Pisces, Jupiter has been in your second house of money for a while. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, you've also had Chiron in that space. And what that might have done is helped you heal some of your money wounds or your money blocks or your abundance blocks if you have them. This could be a good time to get the last exquisite drops out of Jupiter being in that space. So Jupiter's going to come into your third house shortly, which is going to bring a lot of opportunities to, you know, to your day-to-day sphere, work, etc. That's for later. What's being seeded now is a new financial destiny. This is a big push towards getting the most out of the resources and opening, like this, I kind of feel for the Pisces. This is like the skeleton key from the universe to unlock that money that be out here waiting for you. Okay, like be about it. This is setting you on the path of and to financial blessings, abundance, and wealth like you've never known, potentially. Remember, with everything, we've got to work it. We have to find a way to lean into it. As it's a solar eclipse, this is a fresh or a big beginning, some kind. Jupiter leaves your second house of money and finances and resources. So it's doing this big beginning for you in money before it leaves this house. So it's about to leave you a gift in a way. Jupiter is the ruler of you, because your first house. Jupiter is the ruler of the ancient ruler of Pisces. And it also rules your 10th house of career. And this is promising pay rises, expansions of your money and resources, potentially even your profile. It will require action and hard work and guts because it's Aries after all. You can't just sit back and wait for it. You got to get on that front foot and start being proactive because Aries energy is very active. It's very movable. Now, in the square to Pluto, which is in your 12th house currently, this could be something that comes to an end in a final way. And what I mean by this is the 12th house is where things like that's the end, right? It's the last house of the zodiac. It's where final matter kind of stuff. Now, I don't think this is a bad thing, but I do feel like this is a chapter closing for good and one that potentially I say potentially, one that there's probably no return from. It could be a solidification of your own learning. So maybe you look at the job that you're doing and you say, right, this taught me this, this, and this. It gave me this, this, and this, but now I'm ready to move on to something much greater. So, really interesting. The Chiron energy in the second, square to Mars in the fifth. This obviously Mars is not in great shape in Cancer, but all right, which suggests that there's some kind of healing that will take place, that will need to take place in your around your finances or your financial belief system. You will have heard me say previously, if you've been with me long enough, how much money you can make or earn, or even ask your boss, a prospective employer, a client, or whatever from, is in direct proportion to two things. One, the value that you give to another person, and two, the value or the worth that you attribute to yourself. How you feel about yourself is going to determine what you get for pay. So make sure you get that energy and that vibration up. Yes? Okay. Mars in the fifth house. Production is ramping up on personal projects, potentially sees you getting more proactive about what comes next. If you've got children and things have been a bit sour, this could be mending a situation and it could be very welcome. It could also potentially as well be maybe like an issue that you've had with work, etc., could get better. And it might come through like a personal project as well that takes on new life, but requires money, requires capital or investment. Maybe you're apprehensive at this time, which is rare, about spending money on something that's just for fun when actually you don't realize that there are bigger implications for it. It's like the universe is pushing you towards something and you're like, I'm not sure. That seems like it's frivolous, which is weird for a Pisces to say because you guys are the ultimate dreamers. And I say that in the best way. But yeah, this could be a push for that. Mercury conjunct Uranus and sextile to Mars between the third house and the fifth house. Surprise communication that comes in to support and assist you in getting ahead when it comes to the job. It could be news that comes in for like a romantic energy. I love this for news about work or the home life. And I also like this for new home tech, kit, gadgets, etc., that just kind of make life easier or happier. Mercury rules your fourth house and your seventh house. So it might be some really welcome news for a partner about a job. So let's say a partner's been out of work forever. They could find a job that they absolutely love and it pays really well. This could also be a job offer or some kind of skill that you have that brings really great rewards. Finally, in love and romance, this could be an invite to someone's house, or maybe you're inviting them to your house. It could be sensual and flirty and full of laughter and banter, and you might be surprised at how, or should I say, you might be surprised at where potential love comes from. And then finally, if you've got children, this is news from one or more of your children that is very welcome. If you've got siblings, I wouldn't be surprised if there's baby news in it, shake-ups from siblings that provide you with opportunities to use your creative skills. And then finally, if you don't have siblings, it's likely to be workmates and or colleagues. Your card, dear Virgo, is the Hermit. Regroup. Use this, it's in your second house, right, of money and finances, but use this time to regroup so that you can use this eclipse to reboot your self-worth, to see yourself in a brand new light. And sometimes that takes withdrawing from the world, taking a minute, taking a step back to say, you know what? Let me pull back from this for a minute so I can get a clearer understanding or deeper inside look in some way. All right. Like, really, it could be a very interesting time for all of us. Okay. So that is what I have for you on this eclipse. I can't believe I've gone for nearly 2 hours. That'll be the ad-libbing. I just want to say again to all of you that are here right now, thank you so much for showing up for me. Thank you so much for being a part of Radiant Reality. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for just all of your support. Thank you for how you treat each other in the chat. I love it. Like, you guys build like your own little connections and you remember each other, and the way that you treat each other is just, that's a little bit of me, and I love to see it. So thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are watching this after the fact, I truly hope that this helps you in some way, shape or form. If you are here right now, don't forget to share this with somebody that you feel like it may help, all right? Whether it's their sun, moon or ascendant. And with that said, I bid you adieu, or good night, should I say, here in the UK. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a fantastic Friday, rest of your Friday or Saturday when you're watching this, and have a wonderful weekend. Take care, enjoy the eclipse, come back to this video and let me know how it plays out for you. I'm always intrigued by that, and I will see you guys very soon. Take care.